Y'all know my channel is full of simple, non-controversial topics.
If you say so.
So I figured, hey, I should totally make a video about abortion.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Ah, man, where do I even start? Houston, we have a problem. The majority of Americans believe in the legal right to an abortion.
You mean the legal right for women? I doubt many believe in the legal right for men to force women to have an abortion. Frankly, I doubt even 1 per million believe in that. Your research may be right. I can't find any conclusive data. For example, OperationRescue.org states that 51% are pro-life and 42% are pro-choice, circa 7% do not have an opinion.
Particularly before 28 weeks of pregnancy.
I highly doubt that the majority is specific about it being before 28 weeks.
And since 1973, that's been the law, thanks to a Supreme Court case called Roe v. Wade. You've probably heard of it.
No, I haven't. And why do you think the majority have heard of everything you have heard?
Fast forward to 2016, and Roe v. Wade is being effectively overturned. I don't want to make anyone panic, but actually everyone should panic. In many parts of the US, abortion has been made so difficult to obtain that it's effectively the same as if it were illegal.
Let's see your evidence for this.
I know what you're thinking. How does that happen? Aren't our rights protected?
No, I was thinking that you are mind-bogglingly stupid.
No, as it turns out. Our troubles began in 1992. While 3-year-old me was hoarding Fruit Loops in my onesies, the Supreme Court ruled that states could pass restrictions on abortion. But those restrictions couldn't present an undue burden to obtaining one. Now the question is, what counts as an undue burden? What does that even mean?
Obviously, it means that the state should not add restrictions that are unnecessarily burdensome, and if you think the restrictions are too burdensome, you have a case against the state. It is common that laws use language like this.
States were given a lot of leeway for their own interpretations and went on to pass nearly 1,000 restrictions on abortion.
Is that not how it's supposed to work?
Here's the state of abortion in the US right now, as of today. 25 states have mandatory, medically unnecessary ultrasounds.
I'm sorry, I'm allergic to bullshit.
Ultrasonography is used to determine which abortion procedure to use. That is why that have always been used.
3 of those states require you to look at the image while the doctor describes it in detail.
It doesn't change too many women's minds, but some. Is it really that wrong that they want to be sure that you really want an abortion? Abortions and births are permanent. As such, they try to make sure that it is really what you want.
33 states have mandatory waiting periods.
Dito.
20 states have bans that could outlaw abortion as early as 12 weeks.
I'm not an expert on abortion, but I'm going to guess that it has to do with safety.
13 states have near total bans on abortion.
Care to elaborate?
11 states are funding crisis pregnancy centers, which set up shop next to real health clinics and deliberately mislead and lie to people about abortion.
You may have a valid point.
34 states have barred financial assistance for the poor, and federal funding's completely banned under the Hyde Amendment.
Abortion is not the only way to avoid pregnancy. Abortion should be a last resort, and it should be shameful to use it unless you were raped.
44 states have laws regulating irrelevant things like the width of clinic hallways.
Are they setting a maximum or minimum? Either way, it has a psychological effect. It is not irrelevant.
What this means is that abortion clinics in the US are being closed faster than you can say, "Get out of my vagina."
No one wants to be there, Nancy. You are misleading. You are making it sound like they are just closing, not opening. It is primarily surgical abortion clinics that are closing. I don't know how many are closing and how many are opening, nor do I know how much time surgical abortion takes compared to pill abortion. Without this information, we don't know if there actually is an issue here. But the number of performed abortions are still not being reduced. Clinics choose to close because they do not meet the safety standard. such as sterilization issues.
87% of counties in the US now have no abortion clinic.
Not all medical procedures are performed in all counties. That's just how it is. Why should abortions be any different? You should not need an abortion in the first place.
In 5 states, there's only 1 clinic.
Dito.
As many as 240,000 women in Texas have already attempted to end a pregnancy on their own.
Are you sure? It is their fault they got pregnant. No one else's. Unless you were.
Did we just travel back in time like 100 years?
No, we've increased the safety of abortion.
Back when 5,000 women died every year as a direct result of abortion being illegal?
Moron. Fucking moron. People don't die of legislation. No one died as a direct result of any laws. Perhaps as a result of a heart attack due to reading.
Back in the days of coat hangers, back alley abortions, and black market drugs, that's where we're headed. And for some areas, that's where we are. Don't worry though, the story gets way worse.
No.
2 months ago, a self-described warrior for babies opened fire at a Planned Parenthood in Colorado, killing 3 people.
That's embarrassing of you.
To which some responded like this. What makes this extreme mentality terrifying is that if a person is ignorant enough to think that a grown human being and a blastocyst have the same sentience and thusly
Thusly. That's made up word intended to make fun of people. Are you using it seriously? It is used to make fun of people like you.
the same right?
Animals, 4-year-olds, and unconscious and sleeping people do not have the same sentience as adult humans. Do they not have the same rights?
That person just might not see a moral problem with killing the grown human being.
Lacey, do you really think it's wrong to use lethal force when defending yourself or someone else's life? If the blastocyst has the same sentience as an adult human, he would be in the right. You are just appealing to fear rather than proving him wrong.
They call themselves pro-life, however, they are anything but that.
Prejudice never shows much reason.
If they cared about life, certainly they'd care about female death.
Well, the clinics can cause death to pregnant women.
Certainly they wouldn't use violence.
You can use violence to protect the life, Lacey. There's nothing wrong with that. If someone was about to shoot your friend, wouldn't you shoot the gunman first if you too had a gun? Would you really just stand there and let it happen?
And yet, since 1977, nearly 7,000 acts of violence have been reported at abortion clinics. 182 arson attacks, 42 bombings, 17 attempted murders, 8 completed murders.
Where's the rest of the violence? You haven't even accounted for 4%.
Anti-choicers are also not trying to end abortion.
Most sane people would not object to aborting a pregnancy that was caused by rape.
Policies known to reduce the abortion rate: sex education, condom access, birth control access, emergency contraception access. Yet these politicians have fought to block literally all of those policies, instead offering us abstinence-only education known to increase the number of unintended pregnancies.
You live in a backwards country, but I still want to see citations.
Now, I am not good at math, y'all.
I don't think anyone has ever thought you were, but you should take that. It teaches you to think. You could definitely gain from that.
But something here does not add up.
Indeed, you pulled shit out of your ass.
This movement doesn't give a shit about life.
Lacey, what the fuck are you talking about? You were arguing that he thought blastocysts had the same sentience as an adult. By protecting their lives, he does care about life. If you are arguing that only life with the same sentience as an adult human are valuable, you do not think animals and 4-year-olds' lives are valuable.
About babies,
They say pro-choice does not care. Pro-life does.
definitely not about women.
Women's lives? That is not fun from your assertions. Women's rights? Perhaps they just think lives are more important than women having the right to opt out from pregnancy and childbirth after they fucked up and got them
what's really going on here? The real motive of the self-described pro-life movement is a politicized attack on sex, and more specifically on female sexuality. The underlying belief is that sex is only for procreation. It's a woman's duty to have babies. A woman who has sex for pleasure and not for babies has broken the rules. She's sinned, and now she has to face the consequences of her actions. Consequences being pregnancy and childbirth. The irony is that nearly 3/4 of women who have an abortion are already mothers and can't afford another child. So let's contrast this with the reproductive justice movement.
Whenever a moment has the word justice in it, you know it's unjust. For example, social justice.
Otherwise known as pro-choice. The underlying belief of pro-choice is that people have a right to control their own body and their reproduction.
And not be responsible for their own actions.
The right to life does not mean that fetuses or anybody else has a right to survive off of your body against your will.
Ditto.
Philosophically, the right to our own body is so imperative, it's just so central to our understanding of ourselves that people will take drastic measures, including putting their health and their lives on the line in order to preserve their autonomy, even when governments try to take it away. This has been the case all throughout history. And this is why the reproductive justice movement asserts that not only should abortion be legal,
if you shoot yourself in the foot, you should have to live with it. You are also making it sound like the baby is parasite that eats up your body.
But it also needs to be safe and accessible.
Then you should be happy that unsafe clinics are shutting down and more accessible clinics are opening up.
This reduces the overall harm to individuals and to society. Now look, the pro-choice movement can't compete with doctored photos, crocodile tears.
So people aren't rational human beings?
But it's important to understand that this is just propaganda.
Like your video.
And it's propaganda that's made effective by the fact that a lot of people are scientifically illiterate and they're easily manipulated emotionally. The only conclusion that a halfway reasonable person can draw about the pro-life movement is that they're seeking state control over primarily women's bodies and lives in ways that are medically unnecessary, patronizing, and invasive.
How is it medically unnecessary, patronizing, and invasive to say that unborn lives have the right to live? And it is only about life, not controlling women. Restricting women is just a necessary unwanted consequence. However, there are still restrictions on what you can do to yourself. For example, use of narcotics is restricted and is not medical. Another conclusion could be that it is the only gender equal way to solve the issues of abortion rights.
This is a deliberate attack on women.
No, you fucking retard.
And by extension, it's an attack on anyone who can get pregnant. It is a deliberate attack on women who are poor, who are disproportionately women of color.
Men cannot be paying for it. Abortion should be a last resort, and it's only your fault if you get pregnant, unless you were raped.
Without reproductive choice, gender equality cannot and will not be achieved, and that is exactly their point.
Gender equality cannot be achieved with reproductive choice. If you can't get an abortion, both sexes have the same rights and obligations. They are equal. But if we have abortion, what do we do when the man and the woman does not agree on whether to get an abortion? I think the woman should choose. If the man wants an abortion but the woman doesn't, I think the woman should not be forced to get an abortion, but the man should be freed from fathership. However, this raises a problem when it comes to the child's right to know who her father is, and the father's right to remain unknown. If the woman wants an abortion but the man doesn't, tough luck, life is not fair. That is the most optimal solution, in my opinion, that I can find. Is there really a perfect solution?
This is where we come in, Sex Plus fam. This year, 469 seats are up for grabs in the election. 460, that's a lot. Crucially, most of these seats belong to the politicians who have been passing all these restrictions. Obviously, electing a good president is imperative, not just because of their leadership and veto power, but also because as many as 4 Supreme Court justices may need appointed during this president's term. But the Senate has to approve the president's appointments. This election is not just about the president. The Senate and the House of Representatives are just as important. Just as important. This is our chance to get the vote out at all levels of government, because that is where this is happening. That should be the #1 priority this year.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
The #2 priority is to support those who have been fighting in and out every day on the front lines trying to maintain our rights.
Veterans?
I'm going to put a bunch of links below. Please check them out. Please support them in any way you can. I'm sure you have plenty of thoughts and flame wars to start, so don't waste any time. Get to it down below.
In Australia?
If you want to keep in touch during election year, subscribe for more videos. Yes, I did just say please subscribe. I am the YouTube devil. I'll go sit in time out now. I love y'all. Be well, and I'll see you next week with more Sex Plus. Mwah.
Except your mom. Oh.